This video is a little different from what I usually do on the channel. If you just clicked on this video and you're a new viewer, consider liking the video, subscribe, don't be a weirdo. As you see on the title of the video, yes, I've battled with depression, but that was years ago. And I'm sure everybody has in some sort of form. It may have presented itself, but I think that everyone has came across depression. That's a very common feeling that everybody endures. I'm not really necessarily here to tell how to cope with depression because every method doesn't work for everyone. And I'll be wrong to necessarily tell you how to cope with it and it not work. And I don't want to be necessarily responsible for it if it does not help you. But I'm here to tell my journey on how I was able to prevail. If you have experienced depression or you are experiencing depression in this current moment, comment family, because this is a safe space where everyone could vent for advice and exchange positive words. Because in times like this is where the world is going right now. There's a lot of traumatic events occurring, and I think a word of positivity is very great to be exchanged among a group of people. So if you are in that realm and you're looking for a safe space, this is here. So you can also DM me. My tags will be right here, so you can always be in contact with me. But I'm here to share my story, so let's get right into it. I was about 20 when I experienced my first experience of depression. I had just finished my first semester at my first college. And let's just say, I don't want to go into too many details. Let's just say that things didn't go as planned. I'm gonna give like a brief summary on that. So I went there on a scholarship. It wasn't enough money, one. Two, I was going through a lot of withdrawal, like family and not being around that. It was a lot. Being away from like my mom and all that, like, and it was just, I don't think I was necessarily ready to a point where I was able to be on my own just yet. And I went for a track scholarship as well. And the staffing there and the facility and the conditions was not up to my liking. So I ended up leaving my first semester. Thank God I didn't stay for a year or so because I'll be in way more debt than I am right now, thank God. Although I did experience depression while I was there, I don't regret going to the college because I got something out of it. I met a great group of guys that I still speak to this day that I'm really cool with. I consider them like blood couldn't make us any closer, you know? And I appreciate them every day for we helped each other get through it because they was experiencing kind of the same things I was experiencing as far as like withdrawal from the family and stuff like that. But it didn't necessarily, as far as like the depression, didn't hit me hard until I came home and I settled back in my room. I was coked up in my room for like a couple of days. A couple of days turned into like a couple of weeks, and then so on and so forth, so a couple of months. And it was kind of hard for me to get out that headspace of like being motivated to like continue on my journey of what I wanted to do and pursue in life, as far as like track, creating an education for myself and go on to better things in life. Because being that things didn't go the way I wanted to on my first college, I felt like a sense of regret of like maybe I could have chosen a different school, because I had different offers and that was back in New York, and I ended up not even taking it. During that whole process, it was very overwhelming because I didn't necessarily, I wasn't used to it because they had like all these coaches in my ear saying one thing, and like they were trying to recruit me, so they were saying a lot of good things, and I was being pulled in so many different directions I didn't necessarily know. It was definitely a learning experience, I can say that. But anyways, when I came home, it was hard for me to bounce back from it and look for schools, find a motivation to go back, because like once I left the school, I necessarily didn't have like the motivation to pursue school and start running again, like running track again. And I started working as well when I came back home, And my mom was like, don't get caught up in the money that you're making, that you won't go back to school. Make sure you go back. I know it's hard for you, this, that, and third. And it was hard. And I couldn't find the motivation to go back at all. Like, leaving that school kind of made me almost hate track and like resent it in a way. Like, I loved it so much when I came to that school. I loved it so much. I wanted to go on to Olympics and like pursue all these things and get these endorsements, and like I had big plans for track, and things just didn't work out the way I wanted it to. And while I was home, that time I took off from school. I took off maybe like, I want to say a year from school before I actually finally got the courage to actually go back. But in that time frame of like before I actually went back to school, I became very depressed. Like, I felt like I lost all hope. I didn't have purpose because I didn't love track anymore. So I felt like I lost purpose, and I thought track was everything. Like, I molded track around me, and I thought that track was everything, and without it, I wouldn't be anybody, And I was wrong for thinking that way, because I thought less of myself, and like I devalued myself. I hope that's a word, I don't know. But I devalued myself, and I should have never done that, because when I said that, a lot of things came into play as far as like, maybe I'm not worth doing certain things and being a part of a sport anymore. Like, I'm not worthy. And I'm not gonna lie, like, being in my room, because I lived in the basement at the time, so being in that dark space didn't make it any help. It didn't make it any better, because I didn't have no light, and it was like such a closed off space. I was just watching TV and just like laying in bed, like from sun up to sundown. I was just laying in bed, like I wasn't doing anything with my life. And it was honestly very hard to pull myself out of that shell again and be able to go do something. And it got so bad to a point one day I was stressing so much that I ended up going into a seizure. I've never experienced a seizure in my life, and I ended up going to a seizure. I got rushed to a hospital, and I was hospitalized for maybe like 3 days. And I can honestly say, even up to this point, that was my lowest point ever in life I ever been at, like, as far as like anything. Like, I was lost, like, for real. Like, I keep this picture just to remind myself of where I've been and how far I've come. So, and it's also used as a way to motivate myself to keep going, because like, to know where you're going, you gotta know where you came from. I'm not here to preach to y'all, because I ain't perfect, but I am getting better each day. But take care of yourself. It ain't the end of the world. As long as you're breathing, you can always still fight. Like, you just gotta find it. Like, find your purpose. Why are you doing this in the first place? If you can't answer the why, then you're not doing the right thing. Like, I'm just being honest with you. Like, don't find a goal, find a purpose. Like, because once you find a goal and you meet the goal, there's nothing left for you. So when you find a purpose, like, there's like, it's an overall thing. Like, there's more to it and more you can do and improve. Rather than a goal, you just meet it and that's it. Like, you don't find motivation in that, if that makes sense. But after a year, after I came back from my first school, I did end up going back to school, and I did start like training again. I worked really hard. I eventually graduated from that school. Track didn't fall through the way I wanted it to. It just wasn't in my plan. God had better plans for me, and I finally was able to bury that storyline of what I thought was going to be for me. And I came to amends with it, and I was okay with it, because I did realize that there was more to me than just a sport. Like, I had a voice, I was very intelligent. The way I think And the only reason why I like tracked it and fought through for me is because COVID came. And when COVID came, you know, there was a lot of like complications with that, and you know, the NCAA, when that came into play, there was no longer certain things that we couldn't do as far as like go to certain meets and participate in certain events, and they ended up closing down certain things. So, you know, the world went completely shut down. So that was unfortunate, but I didn't let it stop me. You know, like I said, I ended up getting my degree. I got a better job after I graduated, and then I just kept going. I didn't stop. You know, I started setting goals for myself along the way. And after I knocked off one thing, I just kept going. And I stopped thinking like 10 steps ahead before I could even see the process. I just kept, what I did was, rather than doing that, I just kept doing one step at a time, so that I didn't overwhelm myself and take on more onto my plate than I needed to. And I think that was the best thing I could ever do, was live in a moment rather than live in the future, because I don't necessarily know what's going to happen. Like, nothing ever goes the way you plan it, and that's just life. You know, you just roll with the punches and we adapt. That's the best thing you can master. You know, that and self-awareness, and just to be able to like adapt into just about any environment. And one thing I did learn from this overall process, being happy again, was that take control of your mind, because if not, if you let the mind spiral out of control, you'll lose yourself in the process. The mind is a powerful thing, you know. I think you should definitely train it, exercise it, know it, just be in control. But I thank God that I was able to bounce back from all that, and it just showed that I had so much more in me, and that God definitely has something better planned for me, because I'm in such a better headspace and peace than I ever could have imagined. I'm doing things that I never thought I would do. I shock myself every day, and every time I feel like I can't do something or I get discouraged, I just remember back to where I was, how far I come, and now I'll never give up on myself ever again. I ain't gonna go on a ramble with y'all. That was just my life in a nutshell, where I fell and now rising, you know. And I encourage y'all to do the same. And if I can help in any kind of way, please let me know. Comment some love on this video, for real. Let me know y'all stories. I know somewhere along the lines we cross paths on this journey called life. And love yourself. Happy Sunday, y'all. Peace.